It's time for us to make a charisma roll against your questions in the Meeple Gallery for June of 2019.
We are looking at your viewer comments from the past month, and boy, there's some tantalizing news stories, some interesting games that we discussed, and we want to hear from you, so we will right now via this electronic device that I hold here in my palm. Isn't the future fantastic?
Copyright by Jonathan Estes.
Yeah, is it? I don't know. All right, starting off, there was a brand new game announced called Star Wars Dark Side Rising, which is the new one from the Op, which is not USAopoly, and is only being released in the UK. A Star Wars game not only in the UK, not in America, but in Europe, Asia, and Africa. Those were the ones, yeah. And the Middle East was the other region, too. Look, I can't keep these things straight. Geography's not my strong suit. Ryan McLeod said, well, I didn't see Thanos Rising here in the UK, that's why I had it in my head, until months, nearly a year after release, so can't help but feel a little karma around this. So he feels justified. Thanos Rising being the last title in this same series. Theta Sigma said, isn't this what happened with Star Wars Carcassonne as well? I live in Australia and then ended up picking it up from a UK site that caters specifically to the Australian market. So hopefully this will appear on their site, Oz Game Shop, as well. People around the world have experienced this sort of thing. Star Wars, I guess, is a tricky copyright property, but it's, I guess, fair play that America is the one missing out for once, because that doesn't, sometimes we do get the exclusives.
Yeah, we tend to be pretty lucky for most copyright things.
Usually, yeah, unless there's some like niche collector's stuff that you like that's probably more Japanese stuff I feel like, is more exclusive.
Chinese, I think, more recently.
Falcon Ash K also says, $50 for a bust of Vader, dice, and cards. I'll pass. That's more X-Wing miniature ships or Star Wars card game cards. Yeah, I don't blame you.
I guess the card game they stopped making, so I guess the dice one?
They could still be. It probably does mean Star Wars Destiny, but you don't think the LCG is even in print anymore? Like,
I don't know.
Maybe old copies? Not everybody's got it all, right? I don't know. Game Genic is a brand new thing from Asmodee. It's their new division where they're going to be making accessories. And we were curious, what types of new accessories or better versions of accessories might people watching want to see from this company? And some people had ideas. LOMDR Craft Dragon, I don't know if that stands for something, or I'm supposed to read that like Lomdar, says, here's a big one, matte board game sleeves, in that the non-TCG/Yu-Gi-Oh! Sized cards finally have a matte option to better protect decks from slipping and spreading all over the table for whatever reason. I can think of at least two Asmodee games or lines that would benefit from this, Eldritch Horror and Pandemic, but Eldritch Horror more because of all Pandemic games accepting TCG sleeves. Last thing you want midway through an Eldritch Horror game is that someone bumps the table and the Mythos deck gets ruined. Less likely are deck trays for square cards and tarot-sized cards. That definitely seems like a good thing. What do you think about matte cards? Matte sleeves, I should say.
I like not spending as much money, so I usually buy the cheaper sleeves, but I can understand that. Like, there's a reason why there's a big market for matte sleeves. I mean, and any of the odd-shaped cards, I think that's why we all want be able to have our weirder shaped games be able to have just as much protection, but just because they're not in a Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh shape.
Yeah, it seems like a nice thing that it's from Asmodee, because certainly Fantasy Flight, and as they pointed out in Asmodee, they tend to have those weird card shapes in there. Freddie Duran suggested deck holders in all colors, sizes, custom, not custom, etc. Not deck boxes, but holders that can be used during play for a draw deck and discard pile. It's one component that doesn't get enough attention when looking for good game accessories. Perhaps custom fitted ones for games that sell frequently. I usually get mine on Etsy for a fairly cheap price, but a buyer is limited. Is that like the like we were talking about in the Arkham Horror 3rd edition, the little thing that you can hold the cards in? A little bit,
yeah. I never heard, I assume it's something like that, but maybe it could be also like imagine maybe it's a deck box, but when you open it, it pops open so you have a discard side and a draw side.
It does sound pretty nice, and then you don't have to worry about like it's easy to reshuffle. You put it in, you can flip through it.
In particular, any Fantasy Flight that has a small card deck, that's probably
like when or like a game like Battlestar where you have like 7 of those like lined up in front of each other. Also, GameGenic Supplies themselves commented on this video.
Oh wow!
Said cool video. We really appreciate the input. That's great. So if you comment on that video, they may actually read it and make a product based.
Maybe we'll get those deck holders after all.
Oh yeah, maybe we'll get some royalties for coming up with the ideas. All right, we did a preview for this new game, Oathsworn, Into the Deep Wood, which we've been playing. We've been talking about it a lot, and it's a big campaign, grimdark, dungeon crawl sort of thing. Not really a dungeon crawl, but more combat narrative. You can watch our preview video. And people had thoughts about that as well. Tapcat said, it will probably be a big success, but I've realized that I need to paint my miniatures in order to enjoy them on the table, and that has me a lot more selective about which ones I'll buy. I'm also wary of games that are huge time sinks, as I'm rarely able to carve out enough time to make them worthwhile, so I wish them luck, but I'll probably sit this one out. Rico Cordova said, I'm interested to see how this is received, but I still have Gloomhaven sitting on my shelf with only the tutorial played. It's just so big and outside my wheelhouse. And this is my favorite. I won't be backing this until they change it into a dry, soulless Euro with heavy economics and lots of cubes. Also, the art is far too immersive. I need something with lots of gray and beige. So certainly some people are concerned about time sinks. We've talked about that a lot on the show. Yarvak, somebody, said, got to play this at the UK Games Expo today, or at least a couple of rounds against the Broodmother and her brood. There are some nice game mechanics going on in the combat system, and the card versus dice choice is more meaningful than you might think. The dice are potentially more powerful, but the cards have memory, as you know what ones have already gone, etc. They talked a little bit about that. They said, not convinced by the size of everything, though. It is impressive on the table, but does look like it will need a lot of storage. Was impressed with Shadowborn's ideas on some of the non-gameplay issues with minis games, though, as they seem to be very keen to make setup and teardown as simple and quick as possible. So that's good to hear, because as we've mentioned, maybe we've only played a digital version so far, Tabletopia style.
Yeah, our setup and teardown is click.
Right. So it's definitely one of the things that these games can struggle with is the amount of time it takes, not even just a setup, but just organizing everything in the box. There's a lot.
Well, I will say that the first time organizing, I'm not nearly as bad if they have a really easy way for you to, like, whether they include it, like, very obvious, here's how to store it, or if the pieces are just very obvious, like, this is this deck or something. Mm-hmm. So, like, definitely the first time I'm not as worrisome if that takes a little bit of time, like punching everything out, as long as I can make it the afterwards setup. Because these are already big time sinks. You don't want to add another hour per gameplay
right.
to just be like, deck 1, deck 2, deck 3.
You don't want that. So a lot of people are excited about this game. Some people hesitant. But Gen Con's coming up, so hopefully I think we'll maybe be able to check it out in person for the first time there, give you some more coverage of that. Another game that they announced, Pandemic Rapid Response, which is the real-time version of Pandemic.
Target exclusive, if I recall.
Target exclusive.
Timed exclusive.
Speaking of which, Matt H. Louder said, surprised in both a good way and a bad way that one of the most recognizable franchises in tabletop history is putting out arguably one of the most anticipated games of 2019 exclusively with Target. I guess you could argue that. But yeah, it is, I mean, Target, it doesn't even like make a dent in my brain anymore, because it just seems like so many games, at least from these types of titles, are doing that.
I think once they get big enough for you and I, like Pandemic, you think of it like a Monopoly title. So you're not
Maybe that's part of it.
I think that's part of the reasoning. But what's sort of nice when it comes to something like a Target exclusive or like an Amazon or Walmart, any of these big stores, it's not as scary as when you hear like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive or Gen Con exclusive, in which those are usually really hard to get. I guess Amazon can fall like that sometimes with online, since everyone can get in there. Mm-hmm. But that's why I'm not as angry at it.
That's true.
And I think, like I said, I think it was timed too. So
oftentimes they're like a year or 6 months before they come out elsewhere. It is a little annoying though, also, depending on where you live. Again,
that's the other thing.
Going back to the USA thing.
I'm speaking as American, so.
People outside, maybe they don't have Targets. So.
Well, sometimes I know at least I don't know about board games. I know for some other products that are exclusive to like a Target or a Toys R Us in America, in like Canada, they're not. So you can pick them. Like sometimes it's a region. It's regional exclusivity.
Right.
So I don't know if how that, because I don't remember reading on if they said specifically America Target only or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. I don't know. Let us know where you live if there's a Target by you. Tim Teagan said that the game says, as interesting as this looks, I'm pretty much over Pandemic and its expansions and spin-offs. I have the original, Legacy, and Iberia, and I think that just might be enough. I'm kind of in the same boat, even though I did think this one looked kind of cool. I'm not like... After the 8th Pandemic, I'm not excited really about it. I mean,
Cthulhu Pandemic didn't re-spark your...
I think that might have been the one that killed it for me. Kevy B said, I didn't know this wasn't a Matt Leacock game when I first saw it, so I immediately thought Pandemic and Fuse had a baby. Then I saw the dice and the game board, and thought, wait a second, this is basically Flatline with a Pandemic theme, which is totally fine because I love Flatline. I like that it's not 100% real time. There are down times which allow everyone to strategize. This seems to borrow that, but what's interesting is the one person at a time mechanism. If Jethro takes too long rolling his dice, then Daisy may not get to roll hers before time runs out.
Jethro.
Some interesting, great examples. So some interesting thoughts there, and similar from the same designer of Fuse and Flatline, so it makes perfect sense. You're seeing those dots being connected. The Shadowrun 6th edition was announced. We made a video covering all the stuff that we could garner from previews that have come out, and some people more knowledgeable about Shadowrun than us had some things to say about it. Evil Power said, giant Shadowrun fan, I don't mind if they push for newer fans with easier rules. Even if the rules end up being on par with 5th edition, I can't see the campaign being worse than D&D Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Apparently he's not a fan of that one. It seems that the woke world of D&D has pulled the teeth from their games along with the meat and potatoes. The hack and slashing game is filled with boring drama class, mail order acting exercise. Boring drama class, mail order acting exercises. The campaigns are basically unplayable without the GM reworking most of it. Said the alt 80s feel of Shadowrun with a shiny coat of an alt 2000s is filled with dark shadows of bullets, magic, and grime. A PG Shadowrun would hurt the game and divide the fan base, so as long as they don't go full 5th edition, I think this can work.
So it sounds like his worry is not as much the mechanics, but the theme.
I think it's a little of both. I think he prefers, it sounds like more the rules-oriented, nitty-gritty combat as opposed to the pure role-playing, just acting, pretending what character you are, and likes that the style of Shadowrun edition as well. So some people not a fan of D&D, so we'll see if this one bridges that gap or just alienates a different fan base. Techno Golem said, I've always loved Shadowrun, but I've rarely played it, mostly because no one wants to take the time to learn the rules. I'll be grabbing this edition and see if I can finally get a group of players willing to give it a chance. So there's
That's always the case with RPGs. You just gotta trick them. Invite them over for like cake or something, then lock the door and say, you're not leaving until you've hit level 2.
Yeah. And then Eoraith said, this is not a reboot, this is just a new rule set. The setting keeps continuing on 50 years in the future from current real-world date. Edge was not a thing until 4th edition. That being said, 4th edition has probably been the best edition so far, as 5th had a ton of rules bloat, even for Shadowrun. I hope 6th will do well enough and ease my mind, as some of the rules choices I've seen for 6th remind me of D&D's 5th. So it seems like there's a lot of people who like Shadowrun who are not fans of D&D 5th edition, which is interesting because I really like 5th edition, and it seems like a lot of people do. So it's clearly a different camp.
I know for us, I mean, maybe you said, but like 5th was really where I first went in, so it's not like I've enjoyed 5th, but it's not like I've enjoyed 5th more than.
Right. I get this feeling though that I think we like the role-playing part maybe a little more than the rules part. And it seems like Shadowrun, at least in older editions, has tended to cater more towards people who like the rules parts. But I think there's stuff to enjoy in that way in both settings, from what I can tell. But interesting. People are somewhat divided. All right, let's get to another giant, big campaign game that's been talked about recently. That's Middara. We put out our review for it. It's on a new version is on Kickstarter right now with the extra expansions and all that stuff. People had a lot of thoughts. Kim Goldbake said, thanks for the review. The anime style and roll some dice for combat are both major turnoffs for me. So even though the campaign stuff and the sheer amount of stuff you get in the box definitely looks exciting, this is quite a hard pass for me. On the other hand, Puzu said wasn't too excited at first with the seemingly overwhelming amount of stuff and complexity, but after going to their Kickstarter page and hearing you talk about how simple it might boil down to, I'm now super hyped for this. Love the art and the narrative focus. So really there's two, you're different types of people.
Well, one of our, if you haven't watched the video, one of our crits and a miss was it stands out because of the anime theme, but I also know that compared to, everything has, some people might not like or not like, but I know, just when I always see online, whenever anime comes up, it usually is, I've seen some people just get instantly, go 100% negative or positive.
It's polarizing, to be sure.
So I knew that was, compared to other themes, that's one that can be very, as you said, polarizing and just, that's why we had to mention it as both a crit and miss.
Yeah, I'm kind of divided. I liked it and disliked it while playing. John Kessler said, love the game. Definitely had a nerd out moment when unboxing my copy, something I have not had for a while. It has top-notch components. I especially like the UV printing on the tiles, which you usually only see on box cover art, and found that since it had such a deep story, you want to keep playing to see what happens next. Yeah, I don't think we really mentioned that in the review, but they do have nice
because
tiles.
There was a lot of stuff. We didn't even mention, I know we forgot to mention the initiative track, which is sort of good because apparently, Jonathan's been trying to write the how to play, and they made some rules changes in the new Kickstarter that, the initiative track has changed, so it's a good thing we didn't bring that up.
There's a lot going on, but
yeah, the tiles are really nice.
They have a cool effect on them. It's kind of printed in a neat way. One more. Tim Grossman said, the app you mentioned has actually been out for a while now, at least it is on iOS. I've had it on my iPad for some time, and it's pretty good. I'm not huge on the anime style of the game, but I've played it quite a bit, and it doesn't really do anything poorly. The best thing is character customization. The minis aren't really very good, though. Not very detailed at all. I don't care about minis, so I never even... Although I will say that we did have one time where we were kind of trying to figure out which enemy was the right mini, so maybe you have something there.
Was that the one I had to go do something?
Yeah, you left and you were like, I don't know where this is. I was like, it's this one, I think. Trying to match the art on the card to the mini. But
I haven't painted them yet, because I'm a procrastinator.
Will you ever paint them?
Okay. If I learn to paint, that's really the wall I need to climb first.
It's a wall. Let's scale back a little bit from Middara. They announced 2 new expansions, one for Arkham Horror and one for Mansions of Madness from Fantasy Flight recently. And we were interested in both of those. We covered them. Deborah Rapkins as well said, I am interested in the Mansions expansion. I love the large coiled-up serpent mini.
Yeah, that cool. Does look awesome.
Halo X30 said, I want both. Arkham was a surprise release at Essen last year, and I bought it when I saw it blindly. Glad the first expansion is just to make the game richer with more content, and the price is not that high. The Mansions of Madness expansion is one that looks to be a fun one. They should make an Indiana Jones mini, so that every time I play I can say, why does it have to be snakes every time I encounter snakes?
I bet that's going to be a line in one of the cards.
The Arcuball said, so thrilled to see another Mansions of Madness expansion. We always know that Arkham Horror and the card game will get expansions, but when Mansions gets expanded, it gives me hope that Fantasy Flight will keep supporting their older properties too. Can we hope for a little Descent 2nd Edition module? Yeah, so it's nice to see them.
The fact he says, Mansions is old to me, it's just like...
Well, the 2nd edition is not that old, but as a property, it's
but
pretty
old.
I
consider, because just like how Arkham is relatively old, but because it's 2nd edition versus 3rd, I consider that a whole new...
Yeah, so I'm not sure if they're taking that into account or not, but... Nice that they go back anyway. The Ernie Fours said, I'm looking forward to Arkham Horror more than Mansions of Madness, just because I know what Mansions is going to do. Plus, Mansions sounds like the Path of Carcosa storyline. I don't know what Arkham Horror is going to do. I have an idea, but since this is the first expansion, it will be more of a surprise to me.
That is interesting. I didn't think about that. I wonder... We have not played the Path of Carcosa. I have the cards. We haven't played it yet. If they would actually borrow storyline beats from, let's say, the Arkham card game versus Mansions, and I wonder how would I feel about it. I need to play through both before I give an opinion on that because I do think both, like the investigators for both are released from both sets.
Ross Konopaski says, Arkham Horror for me. I'm hoping for scenarios in this one that I can actually win. I've played Arkham Horror 3rd Edition 4 times and have lost each time. That's one game that we've done pretty well in, but we have a lot of experience, I think. Thrill Kill said, please can they reprint the Suppressed Memories and Recurring Nightmares sets so I won't be gouged trying to complete my collection now that the next expansion is in the works. Yeah, that's a bummer. Fantasy Flight, put it back into production.
I know with some of these, sometimes Fantasy Flight just goes out of print with something for a little bit while, all of a sudden it just comes back. But I feel you, as a completionist, in particular those miniatures, because you can use them for any set. In the Arkham line.
I got Fantasy Flight on the line. They're gonna do it.
All right, great. But yeah, if you get these, like Mansion of Madness one's great about that, is the minis for that you just sort of use for all the other games. If you need, like, oh, we need a Amigo mini while you're playing Arkham Horror. There you go.
It's good. It's convenient that way. Tapcat said, I'm looking forward to the Mansions of Madness expansion, partly so I can paint 4 more investigators, which I'll also use in Elder Sign and Arkham Horror 2nd Edition.
Well, there we go.
See? Exactly. The most interesting aspect of the Arkham 3rd Edition expansion in my eyes is that it's taken them 7 months and counting to release the first new content for a base game that had so little content. Is it possible that the sales were disappointing and they've been holding off until the player base is big enough to make the expansion more profitable? That's pure speculation, of course, but it would otherwise be uncharacteristic of them to wait this long. Has been a little while for them to announce that expansion, and even longer still, of course, to release it, which is a little strange for a Fantasy Flight product. They like to put out expansions.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch our weekly release video, I don't think there's ever been one that didn't have a Fantasy Flight release somehow. But to put on my tinfoil hat, and this is something I'm, like I said, the tinfoil hat, I'm not even sure about, but it could be because, like I said, I love these small Arkham boxes before, that had actually a new mechanic or something. Maybe they were trying to make something like that, and they were planning to release 6 months in, but something happened. Maybe it broke the game. Maybe they just couldn't get it to work right, so they scrapped it, and we're just going to make more stories. No new mechanics, just throwing more cards to what's already there. And maybe that's what happened, and that's why it's taken so long. Once again, speculation.
Yeah, maybe they weren't sure if people would respond well to 3rd edition. Maybe they were just holding back just in case everybody hated it and they didn't. We're gonna just scrap it all together. Who knows what it could be? We'll probably never know. Let's wrap up with a handful more random ones. A couple people suggesting things they want to see from us, which we appreciate. Jim Grant said, "Any chance you'd consider making a video for the new Barricades mode for solo and co-op play for Thunderstone Quest?" That's something we maybe will do if there's enough demand for it. Let us know. Kareem Thalgard said, been reading through Things from the Flood and it's amazing. Would be great to see you do a playthrough of a scenario.
We would like to too, but that one requires us getting enough players around the table.
Yeah, I mean, doing RPGs on camera is something we've always wanted to do more of. Hopefully we're going to get there at some point. We will try to pull it together, especially for games like that are fun and good one-shot material too. Mm-hmm. That's always good. Freddie Duran had some thoughts about the new AEG title Atelier, which puts you in the shoes of French Renaissance period artists. I think it's French. Yeah, anyway. He says, I may be one of the few artists that doesn't like Renaissance art, but I can still appreciate it for what it meant for its time. Take that how you want. I suppose I just see things differently. I believe today's artists are far better and far more versatile. He posted a lot more about his in-depth thoughts on this subject and closed with, regardless, I'll be looking out for Atelier. I hope it's a solid game. It's an interesting post, another one I recommend you read thoroughly if you're interested, but yeah, some people maybe just aren't into that style, which is all in a lot of games.
I will say though, I don't think it's just picking because of style. I think it's because they don't have to pay anything to use that artwork compared to if they want to get Banksy to do some art for them.
Is Banksy, is that are there any that are technically public domain? Because if he doesn't credit himself for them, if it's just on a wall and you don't know if it's Banksy or not. I
don't think he has a choice sometimes. It sounds like often people just take them.
It seems like that's the kind of thing there would be a dozen Kickstarter games about. Write a caption for this Banksy photo. I don't know. You can always play Modern Art, the auction game. That has some different stuff in it. But yeah, it does. Renaissance art tends to be an easy pick. Like you said, it's cheap. It's as in free, and it looks nice. It looks fancy. It's a nice presentation, but different strokes for different folks.
Art strokes?
Yeah, like a painting. Good job. Rico Cordova said he had a business trip over the past 10 days, so not much gaming, but he was able to get together with some colleagues and play Endeavor Age of Sail. It was pretty fun. The production was a bit lacking, especially considering it was a Kickstarter. I'm not sure if I would want to own it, but I'd definitely play it again. So there's a little mini impressions of the game Endeavor Age of Sail.
You know, that is a video maybe we should do a discussion on at some point in the future of games you liked but not to own.
Yeah, that's an interesting, that's a lot of games that I think that fall into that category.
Does that mean they're bad?
No, it just means they're not good enough. Andrew Elwood wanted to ask us our thoughts on the new Jurassic World miniatures game, which was on Kickstarter. We did not choose it as a pick on one of our recent episodes. He said, can you expand on what you didn't like about Jurassic World? Is it gameplay, miniatures, rules, all of the above, or something else? It's a little pricey for the expansions, but the base game looked like a decent deal. I value your opinion and would love to hear why you both thought it looked so bad that it wasn't worth a mention. What do you think?
All right.
Since you're the Jurassic Park super fan, why didn't this appeal to you?
All right, I've got like, 30 seconds?
I'm timing you.
So, first off, when
no
you look at
on this.
a lot of the main things you see, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, I think main named characters, they seem to be in expansions. The other thing is the actual main board game, the base board and stuff, it all looked very simple. It wasn't like a very detailed map of the island or any of the parks, just green field, and you just choose two teams to fight whatever. If you look also at the videos, really low quality. The best thing they had was a Pachycephalosaurus in 3D hitting it, probably provided by Universal Studios, but the rest was just no even voiceover or someone going like, hi, I'm the great game designer. This is why we did this. Now, I will say the mini renderings probably look a little better, but I'm not as big into that. If you're into minis and you don't have any dinosaur minis, maybe that's why you're backing it. That's probably the only reason I think that would be to back this game, is just because you want minis to paint for dinosaurs because they look cool. As for an actual game, it just looked really poorly done.
Yeah, I think, it just didn't look like it captured the theme like the way that we would want. We're also just not in general, we aren't crazy about these miniatures games, We're more interested in something like Dinosaur Island.
Right, that actually has a full game. And even the heavy miniature games I do have, usually it's because they have this huge storyline plot into them. But you're not like going throughout the park when all the terrible stuff's going down. It's just my troops versus you troops. And on a side note, the humans have different factions, and I noticed the ones that's the business people are the creatives or entrepreneurs. I forget what they use. It's a very positive word. And if you watch any of the Jurassic series, the businesses aren't good people. They're usually the ones who screwed up everything.
They're the good guys in this game. They're turning it on its head because they're the ones making the game. So I think that sums it up in general. We just didn't think it looked super great, and the Kickstarter page was not super professional in a lot of its aspects.
Especially for Jurassic World. If you have that property, you should be able to go there.
You should be bringing your A game.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but maybe the game is really fun. I mean, we haven't played it, so would be happy to be proven wrong about all of that.
Oh, always happy to be proven wrong about something being bad.
Brad Koch comments, first-time subscriber. Thanks for joining us. What is that giant transformer-like gestalt on the top shelf? Purple and green with a big sword.
Well, you aren't wrong with transformer-like because it's actually a transformer, but it is a third-party one. It is actually mold. I think it's called Poseidon in what they call it, the company. I think it was TF Toys. I might be mixing it up. But the actual character is the Seacons, and it's the combined form is called Piranacon. Very clever naming there. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much a bunch of sea-like creatures that combine into a big guy like that. I bought that one because I bought this during the end of the Combiner Wars. They had a bunch of figures, and that was like one of the main ones that they didn't make a figure for. So I bought that. It's pretty expensive, but you can buy it piecemeal, so you don't have to buy it all one thing. And of course, they recently just announced they are making that like a special version. So I'm like, damn.
So now you know, and never ask us again. All right. And,
always ask about my Transformers.
Don't do it. Get him on Twitter. Direct messages.
No. I want him to hear about it too.
Finally, we had a whole bunch of comments that I just wanted to mention from a particular user. He goes by the name of Kevy B. You might have seen him on a wanted poster in your local post office. He's sort of embraced his role recently as, I think, the roast master general of the Roll for Crit YouTube comment section. He gets his own segment from now on.
Oh, we now have the roast us segment?
He has criticized us for, among other things, being too lazy to Google something, getting analysis paralysis about deciding which games should win Spiel des Jahres, not realizing that the Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is one book and not an entire series of books, mispronouncing polyomino, wearing layers during the summer, and he also does not like our photographs on our website that we use in our videos. He doesn't think they're flattering enough, which I guess I'll take as a compliment because it means that you think we could look better. So I'm going to take that one.
So to be fair on the layers one, we are in a nice air-conditioned room, and we're like, well, just trying something, a new look.
Yeah, well, underneath the camera, you can't tell, but we are almost never wearing pants.
Oh, that is true.
We got to even it out. So thanks, Kevin B, for all that. Now, before we go, those are all the comments we've got, but we had a contest that ended recently. We're giving away some King of Tokyo games in honor of the new Godzilla, King of the Monsters movie. We are announcing the winners for that. If you didn't get an email already, you're not a winner.
Oh.
But if you're curious and you wanted to shout out, the first place prize went to Jesse T, who is winning a bunch of King of Tokyo base sets and some expansions. And second place winner is Christian K. I'm using initials. I don't want to give out too much data, you know.
Yeah,
who's getting some monster packs. So congratulations. If I'm not mistaken, that Christian K is our very own Falcon Ash K, who comments a lot on our videos. So we appreciate the support. Maybe that
if not, we're sorry for mixing you up.
I'm pretty sure it is. Also, Falcon HK has a bunch of YouTube videos these days on his channel of gaming-related stuff. So there's a plug. So don't say we never did nothing for you. Guys, that's it. That we covered it all. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. I don't know when the next viewer comment segment will be because we have Gen Con coming up in just about a month.
And I'm sure we're going to want to make sure we get those Gen Con comments with that. So it might be almost like a double month thing.
Yeah.
July and August are tied together.
Maybe just don't comment as much so that we don't have to catch up.
Or comment a lot so we can do it before Gen Con.
Yeah, comment even more so we have to. And also I just want to remind everybody, we're on Patreon now. Do us a solid. Take a look at it. If you like listening to us talk like this, we have a weekly podcast where we discuss more stuff, $5 a month. Throw us a bone, or don't. We have plenty more coming out on our channel. Just something that I thought I'd give you.
Either way, we have enjoyed your comments, and we always want to hear more. So don't forget to leave those comments down below. And of course, on all the other places, Facebook, Instagram, apparently my Twitter now for Transformer-related things. No, go to General. I want him to listen to that. But until then, thank you so much. And until the next time we enter the Meeple Gallery, I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this has been the Meeple Gallery.
We would love it if you liked and subscribed to this channel and supported us on Patreon as well.
For legal reasons, we've got to disclose we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter with more awesome content.